Hello everybody, my name is Michael, and in today's video what we're going to be doing is this right here. So if that looks exciting to you guys, please carry on and watch the video. Oh, and just one more thing before we go. Please consider like, commenting, and subscribing if you enjoyed the video. But now with all that out of the way, let's carry on with the video. Okay, to start off with our miniature of Pike here, all I've done is I've given it a zenithal highlight prime. So that's starting off with black and then going over top with a white from the up high angle so we can get that nice effect and we can start painting off and give us those sort of shadows and stuff we'll look out for while we're painting. And as we're doing Pike here, you can see that I've started off with some neutral flesh for her. Nice sort of mid-tone colour that we want here, so it's a great basis for starting off things like that. And the good thing about Pike is she only has a few areas of actually exposed skin since she's a really armoured up little gnome, so this is going to be nice and easy to do. Then once we have that complete, what we're going to be doing now is going to do some highlights. So this time we're going to be grabbing some highlight skin and just mixing it in with some of the neutral flesh, just to give it a slightly lighter tone. I've done this rather than just use a straight highlight flesh because I felt the highlight flesh was a little bit too light for her skin tone that I was trying to go for here, and I wanted it to be a little bit more subtle than super bright. So that's why I've mixed in them in a roughly 50-50 mix, so you've still got that nice brightness from the highlight skin as well as that neutral tone. And then of course it's just going around picking out some of the high points like the tip of the nose and the fingers, stuff like that, to really hit that and really give them the nice raised highlight effect. Then once we have her skin completed, we can now come in with a wash, and I'm just going to be using Flesh Wash here by Army Painter and giving it a nice overall even coverage, making sure that we're not getting too much pooling. So just keep an eye on that as you're watching it dry. It'll take a little bit to dry, but just remember to keep checking on it every now and again because you don't want it pulling up. As you can see here, it's very easily pulled up like inside the hand there where it's clutching the mace. So it's just a matter of coming in with your brush and just moving around just a little bit more so you get it more overall even coverage. Then once that wash is dry, what we're going to be doing is going to come in now with some burnt umber, and this is for one small part of the miniature, and that is going to be for the handle of our mace here. So being a little bit careful, since we've got that skin complete, we want to try and save as much of that as can so we don't have to redo anything. So it's just a matter of having a bit of brush control here, but it's just a nice easy area to paint over and get that handle of that mace. Then once we have that complete, we're going to be doing one of the main colours of our miniature, and that's going to be using some gunmetal to do this, and that of course is going to be her armour. Since she is a really heavily armoured little gnome cleric, we want to definitely be showing that off, and any sort of gunmetal or dark metal is a good place to go here, so we can come up with some highlights if we need to, and really sell the effect of her having this full-on armour plating. So it's just a matter of going around, and as you can see there's a lot of sort of little like details and filigree all over here. We won't worry about that now, we're just going for an overall complete coverage of the miniature. So take your time, especially since there's a lot of little nooks and crannies on this. Then once we have all her armour painted, I'm going to come in now with some retributer armour, which is a gold. And what we're going to be doing with this is we're going to be using this for some of the filigree. As well as that, we also want to be using this for her nice holy symbol that she has in her hand as well, that she's holding up to sort of stave back the army of the dead, I'm guessing is what we're going for here. But we want to be also getting these. Now you can see I've got a really fine tip brush, a little finer tip brush than I usually use to really try and pick out a lot of this filigree. It's very small detail. I mean, Pike she's a gnome, so she's very small. So I'm trying to get as much of the detail out as I possibly can. Of course, there'll be some bits that I can't quite get to. I'm still trying to practice those skills. But it's all a matter of just going in, grabbing the very tip of your brush and then just brushing it over top of those little areas that are raised up with that detail to catch them as much as you can and make the piece look better than if it was just all plain silver. Then once we have those areas all picked out, we're going to come in now with some black grey, and this is only going to be used for small parts on the miniature as well, and this is just for the parts in between the segmented pieces of armour to show that there's some underclothing there. So I'm going with a black grey here. You could go with a straight black, all sorts of colours you could use here. I'm just going for that sort of neutral look and sort of make it so it's not going to stand out too much, because the real focus of course is that nice brilliant armour that she's wearing, so we don't want to draw too much attention to that, so that's why I've gone with the black grey here. Then with all those pieces in the middle of the armour picked out, what we're going to be doing is grabbing some ivory, and we're going to be using this for Pike signature white here. And of course we want to give this a nice all over coverage, and being very careful to not get it anywhere we don't want to, especially since we're getting close to finishing a lot of these places, especially that skin. That skin we've got nice and complete, so we want to be very careful in avoiding that. So just using a lot of brush control. Take your time if you need to. I know this is a nice small miniature, so it's a good way to practice a lot of really tight brush control as well. Then with her hair picked out, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be coming in with some nuln oil. And for this, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be giving everything that we've just painted a wash, except for, of course, our skin tone. Other than that, everything else we're going to get in a wash. That includes Pike's hair as well. So giving it a really good overall wash, making sure that we avoid too much of the pooling, since we've got a lot of little nooks and crannies with the filigree and stuff on the armour, that's where it can pool up very easily, and you'll lose a lot of that detail. So be extremely careful as you're going. So as you can see, I'm using a smaller brush to apply the wash as well, so I'm not glooping it on too much, and really being a little bit more controlled how the wash is going on as well. Then once our wash is completely dry, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be doing the parts of the cloth on the miniature. So we're going to be using blue-grey to start this off as the base colour. So she's got this nice little bit of cloth that's in front of her. As well as that, she also has her signature blue scarf as well. So we want to make sure we get both of those in there as well, and being careful to avoid anywhere where we don't want that to be, especially since we've got those other parts very finished, and we don't want to be interfering too much with that wash area, so spend a lot of time touching those areas up. Then once we have that base coat down, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to come in with some shining silver, and this is going to be used for the highlights. So this is going to be nice and easy for giving a really pop out effect on the miniature. So you can see I've switched to the finer detailed brush again to really pick out those highlights, as you can see all over the miniature. It's just a matter of going around and using not the tip of your brush, but just the edge of where the tip is to really pick out those details nice and easily. Then once we have that complete, what we're going to be doing now is coming back with some retributer armour, and this of course is our gold colour, and it's just a matter of doing the exact same thing here that we did with our silvers, but just coming around with the gold. And it's going to be a little bit trickier since our gold is very, very fine, so it's just a matter of just going over and just quickly brushing it to give it that nice pop back into the miniature. Then once we have that picked out, what we're going to be doing is coming in with some shade, and this is going to be Drakenof Nightshade, which is a blue wash, and we're going to be applying this to her cloth areas that we've got painted up. So nice and easy here, just being careful of course to avoid any spillage. We don't want it going on to our armour, so just being controlled. As you can see, I've got my smaller brush again for applying this wash, so I can be a lot more controlled with it. Then once we have that wash all dried up, I'm going to come in now with some ivory, and this is going to be for highlighting Pike's hair. So she has some nice sort of sculpted details in her hair as well, where you can see sort of some of the individual bunches of hair, and that's what we want to be picking out with our highlights here. So as you can see, I'm just going around, just giving it quick sort of swipes, and really trying to indicate the impression of hair. And since we've got that wash on there, we've got some nice natural shadows in there as well. Then once we have that complete, what we're going to be doing is coming in with some electric blue, which is going to be our highlight colour for our cloth. So electric blue, nice bright vivid colour, and closely resembles as much as I can to Pike's official artwork to try and get her cloth, because I'm trying to go for as close as I can to the official artwork with the paints I have available, and hopefully for you too, so you can get as close as you can if you're painting her up as well. Then once we have that complete, what we're doing now is coming in with some dragon red, and we're going to be using it just for two little spots on the miniature, and that is for the nice gem that she has in the middle of her armour that we want here, a nice sort of visually striking pop out point, as well as on her holy symbol as well, just that there's a nice little orb there, and it's going to really help sell the piece and really make it a lot more eye-catching from a distance as well. And then with that complete, it's just one more thing to do. Since we have our Pike nicely painted up, it's just a matter of painting up your base. Now you can totally go for doing some basing effects we want to do here, but I'm just doing it plain and simple like I have with all my other Critical Role miniatures so far. I'm just keep them all sort of uniforms, and that's just by topping them all off with a nice black base. And with all that complete, we have now finally finished painting up Pike Trickfoot from the Critical Role miniatures line by Steamforged Games. So I hope this video has been helpful for you guys, whether you want to follow along with what I did here, or you just want to use this video for some inspiration in painting up your own miniatures. But with all that said guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video.